From the station with the most local news, Fox 17 News at 10 starts right now.
Now at 10, two siblings killed, one still in the hospital after a crash in Muskegon County tonight. The community coming together in a big way to remember and support the family.
The individual that we went out and took some dogs from today has a history and has pled guilty before.
And that's what's got the Humane Society so concerned, what they're saying about a possible dogfighting operation in Kalamazoo County.
And doesn't feel like it tonight, but we've got a big warm-up on the way for the end of the week.
That's the reason more kids die every year from any other reason is from something that is preventable.
A lot of people use them for their kids. Maybe you even had one growing up. Tonight, why the experts say those baby walkers are doing more harm than good.
Breaking now from Fox 17 News.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Christian Frank.
And I'm Josh Dorotz in for Janice Allen. We start with breaking news off the top tonight out of Grand Rapids, where police are investigating a shooting near a school. This happened at around 8 o'clock on the city's southeast side near Blaine and Alger. That's just about a block south of Alger Middle School.
Fox 17's Erica Francis on the scene for us, where we're learning some new details about this. Erica.
Yeah, Christian and Josh, well, that scene has since been cleared, and what we know is that one male victim was shot in the abdomen after what police are calling a random robbery. Now, according to police, we are told that this happened around 8 tonight. The male victim and his wife were out for a walk near Blaine and Alger when they were approached by two men around 8. That's when the suspects demanded the woman's purse. After the victims handed their stuff over, police say the suspects started to run off, and at some point they turned around, firing a single shot, striking the male victim in the abdomen. But that victim isn't the one who called police.
Good Samaritan kind of stopped, witnessed it, picked him up, drove him away from there, assisted in calling us, and waited till we got here to provide medical attention.
Now, last we heard, that male victim is in stable condition. Police are still searching for those two suspects. We are also told that this has nothing to do with Alger Middle School. We will work to give you more information. We'll give you that as soon as it becomes available. For now, live in Grand Rapids, Erica Francis, Fox 17 News.
It's not uncommon around this neighborhood. It really ain't. You hear a gunshot, you just let it go by. It's just a everyday thing.
Another shooting investigation underway after a 19-year-old was shot in the face while riding in a car in Battle Creek today. It's gun violence that neighbors say happens far too much.
Now, this one happening at around 4:30 near South Avenue and High Street, and police believe the suspect or suspects involved were also in a vehicle. A drive-by shooting, leaving more questions than answers here tonight.
Fox 17's Cassandra Arsenault speaking with people who live near this shooting and are getting fed up with all the violence. Cassie?
Well, Josh, Christian, anyone who says violence is a common everyday thing like brushing your teeth is a very surprising statement. Now, investigators say this shooting is not random, and people who live nearby say it rarely ever is. And the people we talked to today appearing numb to these violent crimes.
Were you surprised to see the cops storm the area because you didn't hear it? No?
Not really.
Okay.
We're used to it around here, so it's...
Bullets flying from guns at any given moment near South and Warren Street in Battle Creek. Another day for Pete Wells, but a close call for him and others living nearby. Neighbors say that stray bullets from the shooting made it to their house. You can see this bullet hole right here, and it's just inches away from this man's bedroom. That man is Rick DeCrocker, whose front porch became part of the crime scene Wednesday.
What do I think about it? I don't know. I've lived here for 52 years. I was born here. I've heard it so many times. I just almost ignore the stuff anymore.
Wells and DeCrocker aren't calling for change. They just simply accept it as it is, even saying it's better than it has been in past years.
The neighborhood is better now than it was years ago. A few years ago, it was a daily thing to hear gunfire out here. I mean, it was crazy. There was stuff going on in the apartment house next door, and they were selling dope and cars flying in and out of here constantly, and gunfire on a regular basis at that time.
As you just heard, these men say they're no stranger to violence. Now, the Battle Creek police are following up on leads. They're hoping to get a vehicle description, and we'll keep you posted as soon as we find out that information. As for the 19-year-old that was shot, he's expected to be okay. No other injuries were reported at this time. In the newsroom, Cassandra Arsenault, Fox 17 News.
Switch gears here. Here's to hoping you made it outside for at least a little bit today. Mild temps, even sunshine across West Michigan on your Wednesday. And good news, it's only looking up from here.
Yeah, it was nice to see the sun. Joe Cope checking the Weather Center. And we could be looking at 50 degrees by the end of the week, right, Joe?
Yeah, for sure, Christian, we could be. And yeah, anytime we get sun this time of year and a light wind, which we had today, it felt pretty good out there this afternoon. Now, it's cold out there right now. Take a look at our current temperatures. We're already down to 13 degrees in Big Rapids, 18 at Fremont. We've got clear skies, light winds, dry air. This time of year, that means cold temps, and that's what we've got going on. So before we get to the 50, we got to go down just a little bit tonight. Right now, 21 in Grand Rapids, 14 at South Haven, 18 at Three Rivers. There could be some spots tonight north and east of Grand Rapids that drop down into the single numbers. I think most areas will stop in the low to mid-teens. Now, if you look out to the west, there's some warm air out there. The current temps situated in the mid-30s, even the low 40s across parts of Missouri into Iowa. That warm air is going to gradually get here. It's going to be a couple of days before it does, but we have it in the forecast as we go into Friday. It looks like it's going to stick around for a good portion of the weekend. One of the reasons it's so cold is we've got clear skies out there. You can see that on the satellite picture. Not much going on. There are a few clouds hugging the lakeshore areas between Muskegon and Ludington, and that's about it. So we had plenty of nice sunset pictures tonight. Here's one that came in, this one from Walter, Grand Haven. Beautiful shot there, Walter. You got the sun just starting to go down, and it was fairly quiet out in the big lake today. We've had a lot of breezy, windy days, but not so much today. The wind was light, the sun was out. All in all, a nice day. Those winds are really going to ramp up as we go through Friday. Here's a look at the current winds, and they're pretty light, generally all over the place, but under 5 miles an hour. That's giving wind chills in the low to mid-teens. Big story tomorrow, we are going to see some sunshine, and then temperatures will gradually climb, and by Friday, we're going to be into the low 50s. Looks like a fairly quiet 7-day forecast. I'll have that coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, community support continues to pour in for a family still trying to cope with the loss of 2 children.
And tonight, a ceremony remembering the lives of 10-year-old Erica and 16-year-old Kubayasek, who were killed in a crash earlier this month. Their older sister was also hurt and continues with her recovery.
Fox 17's Brody Carter was at tonight's event at Ravenna High School to help the Kubayasek family. Brody?
Yeah, Christian, Josh, tonight's ceremony was flooded with raw emotions as hundreds from the community came and filled up the gymnasium here at Ravenna High School, facing a harsh reality that comes with this tragedy while showing their support.
What held us up, what keeps us moving, it's you. Friends and strangers alike, all reaching out across this country to hold us up, to love us, and to love our children.
John and Annie Kubayasek finding strength through the hundreds attending Wednesday night's ceremony, 2 weeks after their kids were in a crash on their way to school.
I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. I'm so sorry I could not even say goodbye.
10-year-old Erica Kubayasek died at the scene, followed by her brother Peter, 16. A private service was held for both at St. Catherine's Church in Ravenna, while the driver, 18-year-old Emily Kubayasek, continues recovering, recently released from intensive care. The community sharing the Kubayaseks' grief through song and prayer, fighting the pain and hurt in the light of faith.
But just like most of you, I walked into this memorial service this evening struggling with some very important questions like, why? And we're never going to make sense out of life if we don't have a perspective on eternity. If we're consumed with the here and now, we'll never make sense of some of the things that God allows.
Wednesday's ceremony lasting almost 2 hours. Friends and family saying the words left unsaid, a night to mourn and a night to heal.
Thank you for your prayers, your support, and your love will never be forgotten.
Now, there is a fund to help the family for any medical or funeral expenses. It is the Kubayasek Memorial Fund. Donations can be made to any Choice One bank. Until then, we're live outside of Ravenna High School. Brody Carter, Fox 17 News.
Governor Snyder laying out a plan to begin replacing lead pipes in Flint, but his timeline is putting him at odds with Flint Mayor Karen Weaver.
It is indeed. Today, Snyder announcing a contract with a Flint-based engineering company to spend the next month identifying which lead pipes should be replaced first. But Flint's mayor saying today, well, she intends to begin replacing those lead pipes as early as next week, while urging lawmakers in Lansing to move fast on approving funding proposed last week by the governor. Snyder pushing back, saying while he also wants to see a short timeline, an infrastructure study must be done before any pipes are removed.
This is a process we just need to follow through on and stay consistent. So I appreciate that. So I would reinforce this message. And again, I don't think it's inconsistent with what the mayor's saying. Again, people may have differences in timelines, but her goal is to get pipes replaced. Well, that's one of my goals, but that's one of the steps of this larger process.
And Snyder cautioning that taking out pipes too quickly could have unintended consequences, adding that officials are still working to figure out just how many of the 10,000 service lines in the city are in fact lead pipes. Meantime, people living in Flint are one step closer to getting at least a portion of their water bills paid for by the state after many simply stopped paying following the revelations of the lead contamination. Today, lawmakers in a state house committee approving a plan to send $30 million to the city to help pay at least 2/3 of people's water bills dating back nearly 2 years. Republicans blocking an attempt from Democrats to spend $60 million that would have fully covered those bills. A full vote in the House expected as soon as tomorrow. And to follow along with the situation in Flint or to see the stories that we've done so far, as always, you can head to our website, fox17online.com. Still ahead here tonight at 10, it's one of the major milestones when raising a child, watching them take their first steps.
There are very few companies that are still making them because we know the risks that are involved.
But when it comes to those walkers, experts say don't bother. Coming up, your why.
Dogs removed from a home in Kalamazoo County today over fears they may have been used for fighting. We'll look at how they're doing tonight and how you can help give one a new family.
And later, hitting the mats and breaking stereotypes, what these female wrestlers are saying about taking on the guys.
And we're continuing to follow that breaking news out of Grand Rapids, where at least one person was shot following an attempted robbery near a middle school. Look for updates both on air and fox17online.com. We'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 17 News.
It's emotionally hard being a mother, but it is like so rewarding. It's so awesome. It's amazing.
Some say the best part of being a parent is watching your baby learn and grow from rolling over to walking on their own. But for anyone still relying on baby walkers to help their child get around, local experts say time to think again.
Tonight, Fox 15's Erica Francis introducing us to a mother who learned about the worries that come with baby walkers during a trip to the hospital, saying just because it's easy, well, that doesn't mean it's always safe.
When you're 4 months old, like baby Blair, it's likely you're living life stress-free.
Her silly. Her silly.
But for mom, that's not always the case.
Seriously, every morning I wake up, she's doing something different.
Whether it's making a new face or standing on 2 feet.
Show them how you can stand up.
Although baby Blair isn't walking or crawling quite yet, her mother says she's confident her little one is learning the right way.
She's close to crawling, but if I don't put her on her tummy and practice with her, if I just throw her in a walker, she's not going to want to be on her tummy. She's going to want to be in that walker, looking around, moving around with me. And I don't know that I want her to do that.
And according to local expert Jennifer Hoekstra, she's making the right choice.
Baby walkers are very dangerous. The number one thing parents don't realize is when you put a kiddo in one of those walkers, they all of a sudden have this mobility that's above and beyond their control.
Moving more than 3 feet per second, causing injuries like broken bones from falling downstairs or even burns.
This puts kids higher so they can reach things that are more dangerous. They can reach hot things. They can reach poisonous things that we may have been prepared for if they were at ground level.
Thankfully, new safety standards have since been put in place for these walkers. They're now wider and have brakes, but experts say safety isn't the only concern.
A lot of what I have read does say it's not a developmental help.
Mothers are just putting their babies in there and they're missing out on crawling, fine motor skills of crawling. They're not strengthening their upper muscles, and they need those muscles to be able to walk.
But there are alternatives out there, like this stationary playset. working to help baby Blair stand on her own 2 feet.
So they're able to sit down and stand up, sit down and stand up, and so they can strengthen those muscles.
Giving this mother and baby a little extra ease. In Litchfield, Erica Francis, Fox 17 News.
Erica, thank you. Experts are urging those with baby walkers to find the serial number and look up the product on the Consumer Product Safety Commission's website so you can see if there are any recalls or issues with it. They also encourage parents to check with their kids' daycare to make sure they're using a safe model there too.
The battle over privacy and how much to give away to the government in the face of terrorism hitting people right in the palm of their hand tonight as Apple refuses a judge's order to unlock encrypted iPhones. Apple is challenging a federal court order to bypass security on the iPhone of the San Bernardino gunman. The judge is trying to force Apple to create software giving law enforcement a universal key to unlock all iPhones. Apple's CEO Tim Cook says building a back door would have implications far beyond the legal case at hand, calling it just too dangerous to create. West Michigan Congressman Justin Amash supports Apple, saying it threatens security of all customers. We'll keep you posted.
Well, we've got a nice warm-up on the way, but not so much tonight. Temperatures out there have dropped into the teens in some areas. It's going to drop into the teens everywhere by tomorrow morning, so be aware of that. It might be a nice quiet start to Thursday, but it's going to be a chilly one. Riverhouse Tower cam and visibility for a change, actually pretty good out there. The night before, we had a little bit of freezing drizzle and fog. Last night, we had some snow moving through. Tonight, it is just quiet, but again, it's kind of chilly and visibility is pretty good. Expected to remain that way for the morning hours. Nice afternoon in Muskegon. Here's a webcam and a beautiful sunset as the clouds broke up and there weren't many of that. And also take a look. It was pretty quiet out on the big lake today. The winds were very light out on Lake Michigan today. That is really going to change as we go through the next couple of days. Now, here's Friday morning. We're talking about winds out of the south around 20 miles an hour. We'll have some gusts up around 25 to 35. And then as we go through the rest of Friday, that's when the winds really ramp up. They change direction a little bit out of the southwest. Now we're talking 25 to 35 miles an hour. Take a look at some of the gusts by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, again, these are computer model forecasts of the wind speed, wind direction, and gusts, but they're going to certainly be in the same territory. And we've got some gusts showing up around 50 miles an hour for Friday afternoon. So Friday, a very windy day, although those south winds are going to be bringing up some pretty warm temperatures. All due to this big storm on the west coast. West coast getting hit with rain, mountain snow. And eventually that thing is going to pass north of us, and as it does so, that's why we're going to get into the winds and the warm temps. High pressure right over Lake Michigan right now. That's bringing us clear skies and the chilly temperatures. And here's future track. Again, tomorrow morning, I think we'll start with some sunshine. Clouds increase late in the afternoon, become mostly cloudy. And then tomorrow night, mainly north of Grand Rapids, but there could be a little bit of a mix. This has it around 9:30 at night. Some very light sleet or freezing rain coming through. That quickly moves off to the north and east. Here's Friday morning. Mostly cloudy skies, and again, the big thing on Friday is going to be those winds. Tomorrow, though, 36 degrees. A light mix is possible to the north. Windy on Friday, 52. We could see a little bit of rain. Saturday, we kick off the weekend, 45 degrees, so a nice start. Sunday, chance of some light rain or snow, and then a quiet but colder period from Monday through Wednesday.
All right, thanks, Joe. Several dogs rescued from a suspected fighting operation in Kalamazoo County.
And we are learning this is not the first time that same suspect has been involved in something like this. Tonight, what the Humane Society is saying about the case.
And the Griffins are doing something they haven't done in their last 11 tries, dating back to 2012, and the drive back home for the first time since their All-Star break. We got highlights next on Fox 17 News at 10. For the first time since the 2013 Calder Cup playoffs, Joachim Anderson playing a game inside Van Andel Arena. He's played 2 road games with the Griffins since he asked to be sent down to Grand Rapids for more playing time from Detroit. Tonight, though, marking his return to home ice as the Griffs host Milwaukee. Jared Corrill and company with their 4th game in the 6 games in 9 days stretch. First period, Anthony Mantha with the swipe. He's got a great chance here, but look, he's hooked as he shoots. That's going to be a penalty shot for the kid. Griffins haven't scored on a penalty shot since 2012. 11 straight misses. The streak is over, Susan Lucci. Anthony Mantha. It's part of a hat trick for number 8. Gives the Griffs the early lead. Later in the first, Nathan Pache up top. Shot gets deflected it in. Nate's 4th of the year. Mantha got an assist on that too. 2-0 Griffins. As for Coro, he just needed the 2 goals. Didn't need those other 2 from Anthony. There's one of his 29 saves. Griffins get a nice win over the Central Division leaders. That's a 4-1 final from the Van. Drive back on their home court for the first time since the All-Star break, hosting league-leading Sioux Falls. Another big night for Devin Ebanks. Off the feed from Dante Jones. Count it, the foul, and look out. Drive trying to dig themselves out of a first-half hole. Later, nice feed inside from Henry Sims. He had 27 and 11 in this one. Assist there to Ebanks. Drive tie this game at 55. But the Skyforce taking the lead back. Byron Wesley had 1 bucket. You just saw it right there. That puts Sioux Falls back on top. Ebanks just keeps at it, though. Another drive, another hoop, another foul. He ties Sims for the team high with 27 points. But Sioux Falls is the best team in the D-League for a reason, and luck always helps out. Because I don't know how Trey Kelly gets that to go. Drive have now lost 2 straight to start the second half. It's a 108-100 final from the Delta Flex. A Big Ten regular season title probably out of the picture for 8th-ranked Michigan State, so they're starting to look forward to March Madness. But they could probably still be as high as a 2 seed, which isn't too bad considering if the Big Ten tourney started today, they'd be the 8 seed there. With 5 games left in the regular season, Tom Izzo says it's time to learn from past mistakes during this Big Ten Conference run, because learning from mistakes is how you thrive during the tourney.
If you learn by your own mistakes before they become so critical that they send you home, that's a good thing. And I think that's what I try to do at the end of the year. You get down these last 4 or 5 games. How can we start getting a little bit more consistent? How can we have fewer my bads and more my goods? And so if that's a tournament state of mind, I'd say you're right on the money.
That's a life state of mind. Just have more my goods.
Just have Susan Lucci did it.
Exactly.
You warned us.
Daytime Emmy references, we get them here. But they're out of the conference title race, but Hope men and women, they're not. Davenport men, they're not. We've got those highlights and see if we can get some conference title clinchers tonight.
All right.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks, Mitch.
Still ahead, he's already been convicted of dogfighting, but now it looks like a man in Kalamazoo County is at it again.
There's these animals that don't want to do anything but please you. And they're the true victims in this. The animals are the victims.
What the Humane Society is telling Fox 17 tonight after removing 10 dogs from that suspect's property.
And busted for drunk driving, police in Van Buren County say they've never quite seen someone as over the limit as this guy was.
The individual that we went out and took some dogs from today has a history and has pled guilty before.
10 dogs seized along with dog fighting training equipment, all taken from a known offender in Kalamazoo. It was 2012 when Kelvin Thomas had 32 dogs removed from his property, later pleading guilty to animal abuse and other charges linked to dog fighting.
Fox 17's Cassandra Arsenault has more on the horrible condition these dogs were living in.
Well, Josh, Christian, considering these dogs were barely given any water or food before, they were on 10-pound chains that were short, making it hard for them to even move around. They're doing remarkably well. Now, they're still a little quiet and timid, and some of them only 6 months old. But legislation in Michigan is making it hard for them to find a new suitable home in this state, and if they were in fact found involved with dogfighting, and here's why.
Wired cages and muggy barrels in 7-degree winter weather.
And this little boy is freezing, if you can just feel him.
Held down with 10-pound chains is how these dogs were found.
Blood sports is very terrible. Blood sports is taking 2 animals, facing them off.
Officer Mark Vanderberg of Kalamazoo County Animal Services says the owner of these pit bulls is being investigated as a dog fighter. And if you're not familiar with dog fighting,
these dogs have been trained when the owner faces them off with another dog that it pleases their owner if they basically go after this dog and try to kill it. Bloodier, unfortunately, the better.
Heavier, probably almost as heavy as he is.
Vanderberg with the Humane Society, who flew in from D.C. at no cost to the county, have visited Kelvin Thomas, the owner, to pick up 32 dogs in 2012 that were also dog fighters. They got a tip as of late he was up to it again.
There were some pedigrees found online, and with his name as breeder and owner.
Just walking up, these little dogs just want to crawl in your lap.
The pit bulls were found with no food and water, some with frostbite.
The state of Michigan requires that any dog on a chain, the chain be 3 times the length of the dog's body. Some of these dogs were on 5-foot chains.
The dogs showing signs of appreciation to the rescue team when they showed up. Now, they're kept with dozens of other dogs at the Kalamazoo County Animal Shelter. But like the other animals waiting to find a home, they're excluded from that right. No dogs in Michigan taken from a fighting case can be adopted out in this state.
They're kids, so if they've started their training, I'm sure that they can forget it real quickly.
Vanderburg knows firsthand how lovable they are, so the Humane Society is stepping in to help out.
They are going to adopt them out in other parts of the country because for the most part, we've got about 6 of these dogs that are about 6 to 8 months old, and they're very adoptable.
Now, investigators say that owner is looking at a minimum charge of neglect just because of the way they found them. However, they are still in the early stages of their investigation, and it will be up to a judge to decide if they are in fact involved in dogfighting. And with that legislation, there is new legislation right now in front of the Senate that will allow dogs that are in fact involved with dogfighting to be adopted out in Michigan. In the newsroom, Cassandra Arsenault, Fox 17 News.
Cassie, thanks for that tonight. 6 months behind bars. That's the sentence for this Kent County man after killing his girlfriend's dog. It's an update to a story we first told you about back in October. Aaron Deckinga killed that Pomeranian named Wookie while the family was at Disney World. The vet says the dog was beaten to death. Deckinga charged and took a plea deal on the case. Today he said he was drunk and high the night it happened. As part of his sentence, he'll also have to enter a sobriety program.
Investigators say it is the most drunk they've ever seen someone, and now after 3 drunk driving convictions, a man in Van Buren County facing charges once again. This time, police say he was nearly 6 times the legal limit of .08. Happened this past Thursday. Investigators say Ryan Warmack was out delivering newspapers with his dog in the car when a deputy saw him weave through an area that was closed because of a crash. When they asked him to get out of his car, they say his eyes were bloodshot and that he had empty beer cans in that car as well, but that wasn't all.
He was trying to hide something in the console, which subsequently ended up being a 24-ounce open beer console that he was trying to hide from the deputy. I don't know if you can if there's enough alcohol chemically to get him to the level he was at. I would almost assume that he had been drinking vodka or something hard like that and then switched over to beer to get to the level he was at.
Warmack facing several charges and is due back in court next week. Investigators have not said what newspaper he was making deliveries for. As for that dog who was in the car with him, the animal was not hurt and was returned back home.
Well, it's one of the biggest airports in the state of Michigan.
And the past few days at Detroit Metro, some busy ones, but not because of the crowds there. Coming up, what investigators are looking into.
And we definitely have a cold night out there tonight, but look at this. Forecast high temperatures on Friday. We're going to be right around 50 degrees. I'll have details in just a few minutes.
You're watching Fox 17 News.
Him just popping up. He can't pop up no more and tell me, Mama, I love you, and give me a hug. I won't have that anymore. That part of my life is closed.
She's missing her son. Tonight, we are learning how investigators believe he died after his body was found in a vacant home in Muskegon County. Levante Moses was found on Monday by someone who was renovating that home. He was found upstairs on his back, partially naked. Tonight, police say it appears he caught himself in a window while trying to break into the place and then died from blood loss. They're still waiting for the toxicology test to come back, but Moses was reported missing after breaking out of a mission home earlier this month. He leaves behind 3 children. Western Michigan University sending out an alert after a student was robbed at gunpoint overnight. Happened just after midnight near the Student Rec Center. That student told police he was approached by 2 men who pulled out a gun and demanded money. Luckily, he wasn't hurt in this. Officials still looking for the suspects. If you know anything about it, you can call the number on your screen.
Scary morning for some flyers at Detroit Metro Airport after a pair of planes collided on the de-icing pad. You can see it right there. Airport officials saying an American Airlines plane wound up clipping the wing of another plane that was parked nearby. Nobody hurt, but passengers had to wait for several hours before they could take off again. The plane that was hit was taken out of service for repairs. And talk about one expensive carry-on. Authorities say they seized more than $4.6 million in counterfeit U.S. money from a married Vietnamese couple who arrived at the Detroit airport on Friday. The money, which consisted of 93 bundles of counterfeit $100 bills, was discovered when U.S. Customs agents were looking through their bags after they arrived from South Korea. Apparently, the couple told them they were intending to burn that money as part of some offering to the dead. Regardless, it's illegal to import counterfeit money for any reason.
Yeah, and I mean, it actually looks pretty good. It's not monopoly money, that's for sure.
No, not at all.
They're an award-winning team, but that's not why they're getting so much attention in West Michigan.
In a dominant sport, there's always going to be a few women in there. There's always going to be someone that could actually take on a dude.
And what these female wrestlers had to say about hitting the mats and breaking stereotypes in their sport.
And the Hope women and Davenport men are going for outright basketball conference titles, while the Hope men going for at least a share of the crown tonight. We got highlights and reaction next on Fox 17 News at 10.
Well, if you're waiting for some warmer weather, we are headed in the right direction. Not tonight, though. We've got clear skies out there, light winds, dry air, temperatures dropping pretty quickly. And depending upon where you're viewing us from, temperatures may be down around 10 degrees tomorrow morning, maybe even a little bit colder than that. I think it'll stop in the low to mid-teens here in the Grand Rapids area. But definitely a frosty night. You will need to scrape the windows in the morning for sure. Then tomorrow's going to be a fairly quiet day, and as we go into Friday, the winds really pick up and we'll see a little bit of rain. But the two things going on Friday will be the winds and the mild temperatures. We've got a good shot of hitting 50 degrees or better. I don't think we'll hit the record high. The record high is 59 degrees, but I think around 50, maybe even the low 50s for highs, depending upon, again, how far north you are. So a mild day coming up after a cold night coming up for tonight. Ed took this picture today in Plainwell. Got a nice shot there between the branches, sun. Saw lots of sun today. It's nice to see that. And you throw in the fairly light winds, and if you were out there this afternoon for any length of time, it didn't feel all that bad just because the winds were light, the sun was out. Of course, the sun angle is getting higher and higher. We're picking up a couple of minutes each day, and that makes it feel a little bit better during the afternoon. Still cold, though. It's 3 above at Alpena. We're at 21, 23, Detroit, Green Bay at 13. Warmer weather back here through the plains, and that is the warmer air that's moving in our direction. We're still in this northwesterly flow, and when we get into that, that means we're pulling down some colder weather from the north. But as we go into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the flow becomes west to east. And when that happens, that means we start to see some Pacific air, milder temperatures. It's going to change by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week as we start to pull down some cold air, not super cold, just about where we should be for this time of year. High pressure kind of drifting over Lake Michigan right now. It's bringing us clear skies, something we don't see a lot of, and that's why we're going to deal with the cold temps for overnight tonight. Here's a future track taking us through tomorrow morning. I think we'll start the day with some sunshine tomorrow, and then as the clouds roll in during the mid to late afternoon, it should stay dry. Here's 6 o'clock, mostly cloudy. Then a little batch of maybe drizzle or freezing drizzle comes through around midnight. I don't think it's going to be much, but it's something we'll keep an eye on. Here's Friday morning, mostly cloudy skies, and we could see a rain shower on Friday, but I think a good portion of the day is just going to be windy and pretty mild for this time of year. Coming up tomorrow, again, we're looking at about 36 degrees. Slight chance of a light mix coming in tomorrow night. There's your 52 on Friday. Windy, maybe a shower. Nice kickoff to the weekend, 45 degrees with some sunshine, maybe a rain or snow shower, not certain for sure at that on Sunday, and then back around 30 to the mid-30s for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
The Hope women's basketball team has won 9 outright MIAA titles since 2000. They are trying to make it 10 in a row tonight. The Flying Dutch playing at Kalamazoo against the Hornets. K College playing pretty well early. Kelsey Adamski. Nice backdoor pass to Danielle Simon. Hornets with the early lead, but Hope starts to take over late in the first quarter. They ain't 23-0 for nothing. Frankie Buchanan with the jumper puts the Dutch up 4 there, and then later senior Autumn Anderson from up top buries the 3. Hope wins it 83-47. They're 24-0, and they get another MIAA title outright.
I really judge teams not by, you know, the national tournament or anything like that. I mean, you have to take care of first things first, and that is league titles. And so we've been able to cross that one off the list, and now we're on to the Calvin game, which is the Calvin game.
Here's the Calvin game. The Hope men also in Kalamazoo, starting the night tied with Alma for first place with 2 games to play. First half, Brock Benson steps out, hits the J. The Flying Dutchman still down 3. The Hornets leading the entire first half. Jimmy Paprocki kissing off the glass. K College up 5 there. Later, Chad Carlson going to flip in a runner. He has 17 in the game, helping Hope come back and win 90-79. Alma loses at Albion, which means the Flying Dutchmen have at least a share of the conference title. Number 1 ranked Davenport in the WAC, looking to lock up an outright regular season title 2 tonight, but Concordia giving the Panthers a lot of trouble. Late second half, inbounding with a second left on the shot clock. That's Joe Remstad hitting the deep 3. That puts Concordia up 3. So why not go back to the guy who's probably going to become the greatest scorer in the history of Michigan collegiate basketball. That was Dominez Burnett with 3 of his 30. And that's Wayne Bradford icing it a little more. He had 16. And Davenport holds off Concordia 79-72. They are your WAC outright champions.
Feel great. You know, we worked hard for this. We bust our butts every day in practice for stuff like this. Actually, we worked on situations like this in practice. Being down by three with 3 minutes left. So I mean, we practice it. We practice hard each and every day. We give it everything we got. I mean, it's a good feeling. Hard work is finally paying off.
18 straight wins, too. Number 9 ranked Cornerstone, a chance to lock up the 2 seed in the WAC tournament. They got to knock off 20th ranked Indiana Tech, though, on senior night, too. So we lead with a senior. Ben Lanning knocking down the 3 on the wing, and then Corey Cox, who somehow is like the 3rd or 4th best player on this team, even though he's a 1,000-point scorer, helps the Golden Eagles out to an early lead. Here comes Tech, though. East Kentwood grad Miles Robinson with the drive and the under. Then later, Michael McLaughlin swipes it, goes the other way over to Travis Wells. Another one of these guys gets swallowed up in Lanning and Steginga. But Cornerstone rolls to a 22-point win. They will be your 2 seed in the WAC tourney. And that's going to be a heck of a tournament. It always is, because Aquinas, who had a big win tonight, they were ranked for part of the season. They've beaten both Davenport and Cornerstone this year. So
competitive.
Good stuff, yeah.
It's that time of year.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Mitch.
Still ahead, they're breaking down barriers while competing in a sport they love.
It's more competitive than the other sports. I'm able to comprehend more workouts, and I'm able to take a challenge when it comes down to it.
Why these girls in Fenville decided to hit the mats and how they're hoping to inspire other female athletes across West Michigan. West Michigan man 130 grand richer. Mark Wolf of Berry County matching the numbers during Friday's Fantasy 5 drawing. It was told by a clerk at the store the next day. Mark says he was shaking as he tried to process the whole thing. The 61-year-old is a retiree from the Department of Corrections. Says he plans to invest those winnings because it's the same thing one of his relatives did after they won $50,000 in the lottery back in the 1970s, which of course turned into a pretty nice inheritance for that family.
That's not fair.
What are the chances?
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow, the wrestling team at Fenville High School is wrapping up what has been a banner season here with plenty of firsts for them.
Fox 17's Kate Nadolski shows us how they're breaking down barriers with their female-friendly roster.
When it comes to hitting the mats in Fenville, girls versus boys is all in a day's work.
You have to go out and try your hardest at the things that you want to achieve.
In what's typically a male-dominated sport, this varsity wrestling team gives everybody a chance. Of all the sports offered at their school, these ladies chose wrestling because they wanted a challenge.
It's more competitive than the other sports.
It's really hard because when you go in there, you see all the guys and you get intimidated, but then once you step in and start a match, you can't think, like, it's gone. All you can think about is getting them pinned.
Stephen Fries once wrestled for Fenville. Now he's the coach and has been for the past 6 years. He says he's never seen this much interest from the girls at the school in joining the team.
I was excited. We've always had a few girls on the team, but this is definitely the most we've had at one time.
Either way, Freeze says expectations are the same for boys and girls.
I want hard work every day. We expect the same out of these ladies, big, small, any shape, size, color. You're a wrestler. You're on the team. That's how I see everybody up there.
To them, when you're on the mat, there's only one kind of person, a wrestler.
We're all treated the same. There's nothing different. Obviously, we're going to be wrestling different genders. It doesn't matter. It's obviously you're going to be treated the same, and how you work out is going to be the same.
Despite the physically intense practices,
They can be pretty fast-paced.
We do a lot of running and then a lot of drills.
or the occasional gender stereotyping they face when weight classes decide the matchups.
They were wondering who the 215 was, and I raised my hand, and he was just like, oh, this is kind of awkward, and he just starts walking away.
At the end of the day, it's about what you bring to the match and what you get out of it.
They've all grown and changed in different ways, and confidence is probably the biggest one. Pretty happy that we built that confidence in them.
In Fenville, Kate Nadolski, Fox 17 News.
And anybody that grew up with an older sister like myself knows they could wrestle you down.
I'll take your word for it. All right, stay with us. We've got another 30 minutes of news and weather coming your way right now.